Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children. That's the last thing we want to do. We don't want to scare anybody.
The tourists come over to chill on the beach, but they don't come over the hill where we sleep. We got nightmares and they got fantasies. No sanity, it's just insanity. My mommy hoping nothing happens to me.
So, welcome to Erryting Kool. This is your favorite Zaddy, Lord Jaylin Willard. Today, it's a special episode. I am here by myself. No original Buf, the Don. No Kool-Aid hashtag banana found fantastic. But we have a special guest on the pod today. And please introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Khadeem King. Just the cousin of Justin. Yeah, I'm just on the podcast just to share my light as well of my experiences from being in Canada and stuff like that, and you know.
Okay. Well, he's being very modest. He ain't just my cousin or whatever, like, you know. He over and he's a young Bahamian as well. Or we were around the same age. And he's in Canada, being the biggest entrepreneur ever. But we going trying. So we're going to get into that today. So I don't want to put a title on this episode per se, but we're going to get into the ups and downs of, you know, stepping up, taking that leap of faith and finally become a full-time entrepreneur that Mr. King is. We're now in by his humble abode. There is a lot of history in this yard, especially for me. I mean, of course, him because he lived there his whole life. But for me, this is like the birthplace of Chosen Few Production, like right there in that backyard on that basketball court.
Real talk.
Like I shot a lot of videos here. So, you know, but let's get into the show. Well, as we start off every show, we like to come with the Bahamian. Sometimes we say words, sometimes we say phrase, sometimes we say saying. But the Bahamian saying of the day is, I can bust you with the buck. Now I know you wondering, what is the buck? That means like cash, you know. If I have
a lot of money, really.
It's just
a lot of money.
A lot of money, a lot of money. Like you ball it up like if you was a parking boy and you get tipped like $5 here, $10 here. Like, you know, you just rolling it up and then you going on Snapchat or WhatsApp status just to, you know, count off your little money so you could feel important. So yeah, we're going to bust you with the buck. So, let's get into it, Khadeem. So, just give us a brief history of yourself, how, a little bit about your background, and a little bit about your business ventures, like what do you do as a career and how you got there.
Yeah, so basically, I started over here. I graduated from QC. I went to COB for 2 years, which was slight waste of time, but hey, it is what it is. Gotta put back into the government, you know, until you're just bettering yourself. But I went to Canada. I went to one of the schools closest to Beaufort, which is Dalhousie University. So I graduated from there. Okay. And then I was working at a hedge fund administration company called Citco, which is pretty good work. It opened up my eyes from that perspective, and I wouldn't like to say like, I liked the opportunity. It was a good opportunity. It's a good place to see how things actually work in like the investment side of things. But it just wasn't the place for me. So that's why I had the mindset of going on and doing my own businesses and stuff like that. So while I was there, you just have to have the mindset that you want to be your own boss. You want to call your own shots, basically. You want to take vacation when you want. You want to move however you want to move. You know what I mean? You could book a ticket tonight to go to Toronto, Switzerland, Turkey, wherever. Like, that's just how I saw myself in the future. So, yeah. So I just took steps to be in that realm. But the first thing I feel like you got to be able to do is change your mindset and like master your energy, really. Like,
okay. So explain. Well, before you get too far ahead.
Yeah. My bad.
I want to rewind back on the point. So what made you want to become an entrepreneur?
So I would say
Because I know what you're doing now ain't like the start of it. Because you also, I seen you from afar. Like you started bass.
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't start it. I didn't help. I helped.
So
I'm like an assisting. I'm in the group obviously, but like I'm like assisting with it. I'm like the business aspect of the group.
Okay,
really,
so
if you want to say that.
So for people out there, bass is
Ad base.
So ad base
Yeah.
is
So that's basically like a disc jockeying company, basically. But like the main concept is basically like wanting to be, you accepting yourself in your own skin, really. Like,
Okay.
you don't care what people have to say about you. You really just want to show the world what you have to offer, really. And then that's just encompassed in DJing and those type of things, right? And then like weddings and stuff like that we also do. But that's the underlying theme to it, though.
Okay, so yeah, bass. Because I used to be in college and I just like check dog out doing this thing with the whole monkey mask and stuff like that. Because like when I started college, I wanted to be like a part of like this big group and like because the real reason why I wanted to go to Atlanta because of dormtainment. So being a part of a collective, and I always thought that was cool. However, so you saying you just brought it, business arm with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I part of the group still for sure.
Okay.
Like, because I'm roommates with one of the guys who founded it actually.
Okay.
There's a few other guys that are in it, and we just talk about things, stuff like that. Like we still doing events and stuff in Canada now. So yeah, we got a few events coming up too. So
okay.
Yeah.
So for fast forwarding past bass. So besides bass, so what made you want to be an entrepreneur?
So I would say the main thing that made me want to be an entrepreneur, I would say more so like the freedom, really, like the freedom just to do what you want to do at all times. Like it's always your choice. That's how it should be in life. Like obviously if you go on a 9 to 5, if you just want to take a sick day, if you don't feel good, if you want to wake up 10 o'clock in the morning, if you want to take a vacation, you have to go ask someone else about taking that vacation off or taking that time off or trying to organize it with other employees. Mm-hmm. And then the time you take off, some people may feel some type of way because you taking off time, and it's so much nuances to like being in that type of environment that I just wasn't really for.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So was there any like, because I know me and you talk or whatever, and you would say for those who don't know, Khadeem quit his job recently, and it's a full-time entrepreneur. Yeah. So, like, that's something that I greatly aspire to, and I know I can get to one day. I mean, everybody got their own part. So, like, I always ask him, like, when I see him, different questions. So, who did you look at and say, okay, I want to somewhat, I guess, copy or look at this person as an example of what I should.
I would say inspiration.
Well, let's go say inspire.
And like, who you look to for slight guidance. So honestly, I would say my primary person was like Gary Vaynerchuk. Actually, like he was really like, because I just was chilling for the most part. Because like I got a job, I finished my degree. I was thinking about doing my certification, but I decided. Well, I took the exams, but I just wasn't in it 100%. Mm-hmm. But like after a while, when I started watching some Gary V videos, it's like he on another level of like passion and talking about doing what you want to do and talking about not caring what other people have to think. He's very strong-minded in that sense. Mm-hmm. So that's like one of the people who actually like drove me to the edge of just jumping off and trying what I want to do actually. Okay. I would honestly say also, I was talking about this also like on my social media and stuff like that. Like the late great Nipsey Hussle as well. Like he was one of them, RP Nipsey Hussle, but he was one of them. Those two characters were like the main two who told me and was like, basically, it's not, you can't blame no one else for your situation. You have to take advantage of your life. You have to take control of your life and do what you want to do. You know what I mean? So I would say that's the two. There's many others who I just looked towards and was like over time, like Draymond, I forgot his last name, but he's one of the Shark Tank judges.
Draymond John.
Yeah, him, Mark Cuban. There's a lot of guys who out there you find about Cardone, There's another guy, Michael Rubin. There's a lot of guys, but those two are the initial ones that like actually like made me think that it's possible. Because Gary Vee, a lot of people like say he says the same stuff, but he's pretty much practical, bro. Like a lot of things he talks about is very practical and very real life situations. So I think anyone could do what he's talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for those, some people be like, why should I give up my stable job with my stable income
Yeah.
and give that up and try to hustle on something that I ain't sure that's stable?
Yeah.
And I gotta probably put a lot more time in. Like, that sounds like lunacy to give up something stable where, you only have to clock in and clock out and you sure you're gonna get a check versus spending, instead of doing 40 hours, you probably spending, let's say, 80 to 120
Yeah.
to hustle for the same amount.
Yeah.
Tell me what's the sense in doing the 120 hours per week for yourself versus the 40 hours or 40 to 60 hours for somebody else?
So my answer to that is always leads to what you passionate about. Because like my personality is like that person who like that comfort, that person who likes that check at every bi-weekly. Hey, they may like the 40K a year. You know what I mean? They may like being told what to do. They may like being able to go to their family at 5 o'clock. They may like all those things. They had pros and cons to all these things, right?
Okay.
If you like that and you're passionate about what you're actually doing for your 9 to 5 and you actually don't see a reason or like you're just comfortable in that that realm, then hey, kudos to you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm not the person to judge. I'm not judging anyone, you know what I mean? I just say for me, that's how I felt. But like I say, those people, they could take that, that 9 to 5 and they secure with that, that's fine and all hunky dory, you know what I mean? But those are the same people who also in the same breath, they'll say that, why would I take that step? And then you listen to them 2 hours later, they're still saying or complaining about why life is treating them so bad or why life is doing this to them. I'm struggling, I'm financially unstable. Even though you may say you're getting a bi-weekly check, but honestly, for me working in Canada, I tried to save as much as I could, but like at the end of the day, you still was basically living paycheck to paycheck because you still have to pay rent, you have to pay power, you have to pay a cell phone bill, you have to pay insurance on your car. Like, it's a lot of expenses in living, right? So, yeah, to those people, I just feel like if you're not passionate about it, it's time to make a change. If you don't like waking up on Monday morning, which I did not like waking up Monday morning to go to my job for a while. So that's why I was like, I got to change things up because this ain't how life should be. And that's how a lot of people are.
For real, like, that's how I be feeling at times, like.
Yeah, bro, it shouldn't be like that.
Because, like, wait, even, I mean, like, we just finished talking about that. I was like, wait, I was into owning my own from young or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Honestly, you was one of the first ones. I just was telling you this, like, you was legit one of the first ones. I had the mindset.
Yeah.
But I just wasn't in the full grasp of it. You know what I mean? Because, like, as you go through life, I feel like you
learn,
you live and you learn, right?
You buck your toe.
So, yeah. And like you're saying, too, everyone run their own race. It's not like just because this person could do this move. The goal is to not watch. Like, you shouldn't keep up with the Joneses. That's what Gary Vee is talking about. And I agree 100%. Like, you can't watch other people, like, what they're doing. You just have to focus on your race. Yeah. You watch from afar, and you, like, use them as an example on what to do, what not to do. You see things, but it always has to be from an internal space. You know what I mean? Like, you can't let exterior forces change your perspective on what you want to do. So...
Yeah, that's why I was just telling one of my coworkers today. Like, I was like, wait, life? Well, I always say this. Like, life, two things about life. One, everybody live in different time zones. And not because you're in a time zone 3 hours ahead, that means you are 3 hours ahead in life.
Yeah.
You in your own time zone,
Real time.
Managing life. But also, life is a marathon.
Yeah.
It ain't because you get to the line the quickest, because you could come out to the blocks running quick. You're going to end up on a stretcher in the
Yeah.
hospital.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But you got to endure the grind, endure the process.
You
So,
talk.
I mean, even with entrepreneurship or whatever, you got to, that's a constant grind. So, like, if you're not willing to be like, wait, I going to take a loss a little bit, or I going to have to exert myself to make my dream come true, you ain't ready for entrepreneurship. Because if you ain't ready to, like, I brought this example. Like, I know this guy, like, who runs let's say he runs a business or whatever. He told me that he hasn't made no money from this venture yet. But if you tell him today to give up his venture or they take a 9 to 5, he'll tell you no. Even though he have to work 120 hours a week to make the little scrappings he make, you rather do that than go and clock in from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday on someone's job and make someone else rich. And that's almost, sometimes that may seem crazy because it's like, well, you could have a stable job and make more than what you're making now. But it's like, because this is your birth child.
Yeah, it's your owner.
Yeah,
You're
it's
the
your
owner.
own. Yes, this your owner.
Yeah.
Like, you see the dreams and where you want to take it, so you just focusing on that, and then you just enjoying the ride, as you go along.
Yeah.
So, what steps you took to finally become a full-time entrepreneur, and what do you do now to supplement not having a 9 to 5?
So, to that answer is like, see, in Canada, it's like, I think is a gold mine of things to do to make money. See, over here, like, I try to give perspective, like, Bahamas is really tough because I've been thinking hard about, like, what aspiring, like, entrepreneurs and self-employed or sole proprietor type individuals could, like, do for money. But, like, I still going back to, like, online hustles for, like, Bahamian people.
Okay.
They have to find things online that they can do. But what I have done in the Canada, initially, like I said, I was unhappy with my 9 to 5. So I started searching on Google, like, how can I get, like, passive income and stuff like that, right? So that took me to, like, investing in stocks, which is very easy to do in Canada. Like, you could have a bank account with Scotia or RBC or whatever. You could set up the trading account, easy like that. You could pick up positions and trade. And then you just have an app on your phone that you could watch the stock market, right? So that's what I was doing initially. But, like, obviously you got to realize that within the stock market, depending on what type of positions you have, it's a slow-moving type of
It's
investment.
you have to play the long game.
Exactly. You got to play the long game, right?
Yeah.
So I was in the mindset that, okay, I'm going to go back in the stock market, but not for right now because I need to gather up more wealth for that. So I was doing that first for a couple of months, and I realized that, which is, like, still a learning process. Then I came across one of my friends. He's, like, a hustler as well. He showed me Uber Eats that I was telling you about.
Okay.
And Uber Eats is legit. Like,
Okay.
Uber Eats is legit. Even in the States, there's another app called Grubhub, I think. But Uber Eats and these apps are, like, the new generation. Because even Uber driver as well. We don't have Uber driver where I am, but when it comes, I'm probably going to do it. But Uber Eats is legit the best, my primary supplementary income right now.
Okay.
And how that works is, like, you basically sign on an app and you become a driver for, like, delivering food and stuff like that around the city. And they basically pay you to deliver the food to a person who lives in apartments and homes and stuff like that, really, who live in the city. They order on the app as a consumer, and you drive it to them. And you get paid per kilometer that you drive, really. So I end up making, I don't know if we used to do, like, per hour term over here. We don't do per hour, like, paid per hour like that over here, right?
You mean
We just do, like, wages and salaries. No one
people
really knows.
get paid by the hour.
Okay. But in that, normally I should be making, like, $20 an hour.
Okay.
Which is pretty good. Because where I used to work, I'm getting paid more than to work at Uber than I used to get paid at my 9 to 5.
Oh, that's interesting. And you used to work at a hedge fund.
Exactly. But the thing is, I was just like a senior. I wasn't, like, high up. Like, my role was just, like, right above entry level position, really.
Okay. So how long you was at the hedge fund again?
I was there for, like, 2 years for like 2.5 years, probably, around that. Yeah, but that's one of my first supplementaries. And then I have like more that I've done. Like is another one where I'm like basically like a personal customer service rep for like a pizza company, and I basically like accept calls and I go through the orders of the pizza orders and stuff like that, and I go through the order, make sure that the location is right because I accept calls all across Canada.
Okay.
And I just make sure the calls are coming in on my software, and I just go through the process. And I literally make about $15 on that, depending on how hard I work or how much calls I'm taking that hour. But that's probably the top two. And I also just had a side job too. That is like it's a sports data analyst. So like these same basketball games that I played, football, college basketball, stats that come in for those events, like let's say live score, for example. The job is basically just updating the score and updating the play clock for that game. And it depends on what shift I have, but those are like the top three that I use now while I'm still working on my other ventures. But
okay. So you had what was your timetable for like quitting your job? So you said, because most people would say, tell me, okay, I know exactly what amount of money I wanted to save first before I quit, or like, you know, or I had another job offer and that's why I quit. So what was your process?
So my process was basically when I saw that those things could match what I was making at my 9 to 5, that's when I started to like actually turn, like get the wheels rolling in my head. Then I was like, okay, I got to be at a process where I have at least 4 to 5 months rent. But at the time that I did it, I didn't have 4 to 5 months rent. So like I can't really knock anyone for taking the risk and not having 4 to 5 months or 6 months rent. Some people say you should have 6, but I didn't. When I jumped, I did not have 6 months rent. So,
okay, so
like I can't sit there and say I did have it, like I didn't. But
okay, so what you did with that, since you ain't have, because that's the part where people scared. Oh, he ain't had 6 months since he ain't had this save up. So how he living?
But that's the life. Like that's the life. Like I believe so much in what I doing now is like. And I believe so much in, because Uber Eats is proven like it can supplement and make more than what I was making, right? Mm-hmm. So I just had so much trust in what I was doing that I was willing to take the risk. Not to say that I don't feel fair. Mm-hmm. I obviously, all of us feel fair, but it's like when you're trusting yourself and what you're doing outweighs the fear. It's like you just gotta jump. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it. I can't really say, but like, yeah, you just gotta jump at some point, bro. Like you could have all those things in the background, but you still gotta jump at the end of the day.
Yeah, so. For real. So, let's see. So we went through the process. You made a jump. So basically, Uber Eats right away just been giving you exactly all the fulfillment, and not really fulfillment, but it was paying you, offsetting your costs and what you had, occurred.
Of living, yeah.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay. So when doing this, how did your family feel about you becoming a full-time entrepreneur? And how supportive are they with your ventures?
So I would say,
as well as friends.
Say that again?
As well as friends.
Yeah, I would say initially, I'd say a lot of people take it back because, like, at the end of the day, especially back home, is like you don't hear a lot of people wanting, or even they say they may want to do or take the entrepreneurial journey, but they may not have the actions to back what they're saying, right?
Yeah.
So when I decided to back my actions by what I was saying, obviously some people took reservation. My family took reservation. Like my parents, obviously they took reservation. They told me that it may not be a good idea. You putting a lot of eggs in one basket. You're risking a lot. But how I looked at it, like when I went to tell them, it's more you telling your parents and your friends out of respect, because like at the end of the day, you as a person, you gotta know what you want to do. Like like I was saying earlier, you can't be affected by exterior forces, right? So if you made a decision and that's the decision you want to roll with, and you're willing to take the bruises, the cuts, the ups, the downs, the lows, everything. If you want to take all of that,
Okay.
it really does not matter what anyone has to say about your lifestyle, to be honest with you. As long as you covering your cost of living and you're living a happy life, that's all that matters really, because your parents, your friends, your family, they may feel some way initially,
Okay.
but after they see the success and the happiness that you have on your face every day, and obviously you living your dreams, you living your best life, like, what else they could say? How can they be mad at that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How can they be mad at that? Over time, over a year, a month, 6 months, I'm pretty sure they're going to change their perspective and they're going to back what you're saying. And if they don't, then you just got to live with that and know that that's a possibility too when you make that decision. Because like some parents, they may not see the light until years after.
Until you making them millions. and they
Exactly.
like, you know,
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
even though they don't see the light initially, you still can't let that affect on decisions that you make. So that's what it is about, really.
Yeah, because like a lot of times, a lot of people might say, "Oh, like yeah, I had to do this on my own," and you know, it's you always find so many different scenarios. Because I like to watch like, what's that called? I think I watched a documentary, or it was some short or something where Complex had interviewed Chance, the rapper's manager, and he somewhat broke down how like him and Chance met and how they built this empire that they have right now. So he was saying how, you know, his parents didn't know what you doing and this and that and that. And that seems to be a common theme because like I know you listen to Just Bleed sing.
No.
No, I think I seen you share one of his videos on your page before.
Just believe?
Yeah, Just Bleed. Like
Just
he's a sing Indian. Oh, is it? No. No, he's an Indian guy with the hair wrap, with long beard. Talks about financial literacy.
Probably. I vaguely remember. It may have just been a video in passing too. Like a lot of times I just exploring and like I looking at.
All right.
Cause yeah, but
like he like on his channel, he always talks about like, you know, his parents not, you know, when he wanted to not be a doctor or a lawyer or some traditional thing. He wanted to be an entrepreneur. His parents was like, "Oh, you don't know what you're doing." Like it always goes back to that rich dad poor dad theory.
Yeah.
But it's more so like practical. Like, okay, the poor dad says get a job. The rich dad says make your own job.
yeah.
So, you know, so sometimes you just got to push there because people often come to me like, "Hey, how you got your parents to allow you to go to art school?" It's like, I was like, this was what I wanted to do. This is what I'm passionate about. And I wasn't afraid to fail
Yeah.
or whatever. So, you know, I was going to make it happen.
Yeah.
So,
see, it's a tricky thing because like when parents are like, let's say for example, you want to do these things, all the things I'm talking about, like I'm funding it, right? I'm backing myself. When a parent, or if you're in the position where you're asking parents for money,
yeah.
it's like it's a double-edged sword because like if you take money from your parents, obviously they're gonna have a say in what you do.
Yeah.
But you can't accept the money and then not want them to have a say. You know what I mean? You either have to do it cold turkey, you do it on your own, and you try to strive, and you just because in that instance you have all the say because you have the backing, you have the financial backing. Like there's nothing really that's deterring you. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
But with schools, that's different because like obviously most parents are funding schools, right? So it's hard in that situation, and it's hard to be raising those funds as well too if you want to do something that your parents don't want you to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just convincing my parents that this is something that I was passionate about, and then they saw the passion, and then they believe. So, you know, I mean, everybody don't have the liberty where their parents believe what they want to do, but you got to make it happen some way, somehow. So, how does becoming a full? Because what people don't talk about is how, you know, being an entrepreneur somewhat affects not just your relationship with your family and not relationship with just your friends, but relationship with let's say, your dating life or your social life.
Mm-hmm.
So how has that affected that aspect of your life?
Tremendously. But my thing is like
Okay.
when you this is all the things that go into the thoughts of when you're gonna make this jump, right?
Okay.
If you're not willing to sacrifice your social life, potentially your love life, girls you're talking to, like they gotta know up front, like if it's something that you're doing, like for the most part, I wouldn't say they probably like a 1B or 1A, 1AB.
Or they ain't be priority, basically.
I don't want to say they're not going to be priority.
I've told people, they know where you're going to be priority.
Yeah, like, see, me, I don't blame you, bro. I don't blame you. See, me, it's like, it always depends on the type of young lady it is. You know what I mean? If I see she's ambitious, she's driven, she will get it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But some females, it's like, when you tell them things like that, it's a different situation. So like those type, you gotta let them go. Yeah. To be honest, because like it's not healthy. Because if you want to move, you want to come up, and they're trying to hold you down by not being supportive, by not letting you pursue your dreams and not understanding what you're doing, then that's a draw on your time. That's a draw on your emotional stability. Because it's already hard out there as an entrepreneur anyway. So I feel like you have to be ready to take that sacrifice. Because me, like, for example, my day is set up. Like, I go to the gym. Okay. I work some Uber Eats. Then I work on my online businesses for a while. And then I do some more Uber Eats and close of the night. And I end most of my days, or all of my days, at 1 a.m.
Okay.
So, like, if I don't program my day properly, it's literally no time for anything else. You know what I mean? So, like, if you have a female or you have something that you want to go to in your social life or whatever, like at the end of the day, like I just said, it's a double-edged sword. Like you have to make sure that you plan it throughout your weekly plans or whatever, right? And obviously, if you're that passionate about what you're doing, the social life is just gonna take a backseat, and that's fine. Because like at the end of the day, when you look back 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you're gonna be very happy that you sacrifice your social life, you sacrifice these things in order to reach this level of success. Because with every level of success comes another sacrifice. Yeah. Because if you make, let's say you make $10,000 a month, you will make $20,000 a month. Yeah. That's more time you have to put in. And you have to then that's more sacrifices. Exactly. Yeah. Then if let's say you want to make $30K a month, you want to make $50K, $100K a month, like. That's more sacrifices that you have to do that you didn't have to do initially, right? So, like, each level of success comes sacrifice. Now, if you want to stay at $10K a month, which is really good, that's end up being $120 a year. That's great. Yeah. You know what I mean? And if you want to stay at that level of sacrifices, that's fine. But like I said, you just have to be willing to sacrifice that side of it, that aspect of your life, right? So,
all right. So we're going to take a short commercial break. We'll be back where Mr. King goes into some of his ventures. We'll be back on Erryting Kool. Yeah.
Hi, this is your favorite zaddy, Lord Jaylin Willard from Erryting Kool. And this episode is sponsored by nobody. If you would like to sponsor an episode of Erryting Kool, feel free to email us at theoriginalpeoplenetwork@gmail.com. Or you can slide in our DMs on Instagram at The Original People Network or on Facebook, The Original People Network. Now back to your scheduled programming.
All right. Now we're back. So, Mr. King, so tell us about, you've been talking through this whole part about your business venture. Well, tell us, what's the business venture that you left your 9-to-5 to start?
So the first business venture that I have a lot more in the works, but I can only talk about the first two that I actually have on the go. But the first one is basically like it's basically a Shopify store. So like, I don't know if people know what Shopify is, but basically Shopify is like a web designing platform where you could hold inventory and hold I guess, things that you're selling on your website and all those things. And it's basically a very powerful tool. It has different plugins that you could have. you're able to design the website, have themes, etc., and stuff like that. So that's one of the business ventures that I'm doing now. And the thing is like, it's basically a general store where I'm like advertising like general products. Basically, it depends on what I'm selling. So, for example, I have like a portable blender on the website.
Okay.
And like you could grind fruits on the go. Like you put the fruits, milk, etc. in the blender. You go in
And
your
then
car.
you have your milkshake on the go.
Yeah, you could have your milkshake.
Why don't you
on
should
the
bring
go.
some products?
Yeah, I have one of them there in Canada though, but
Yeah.
that's just one of the ones that I like a lot. It's a lot more products that's on the site that's normally like things that you wouldn't find like in stores and stuff like that. So yeah, that's just one of those ones. And like the other one is an affiliate marketing website that I'm still working on with one of my buddies right now. But yeah, that's still on the go. I can't
Really
unveil too much information about that one. But basically the premise, if you guys could do more research on affiliate marketing, but basically with all these companies that are online, Walmart, Amazon, GameStop, all these big companies, they have affiliate programs. And what that is basically they pay individuals who have websites that can gain traffic from like the web, right? And they pay them a percentage of the sales that they traffic to the website. So for example, if you come on my website, you click a certain link or whatever, right? It's tracked by cookies online. And basically these track like click behavior of people who are online, etc. Right? So as you click through and you come through our links or whatever, when a sale is made on that website, they track it by the cookies, like I said. So when a sale is made, depending on whatever that whatever that cart was, we get a percentage. So each website has a certain percentage. So Walmart, let's say, would have 5%. GameStop would have 8%. This website would have 10%. So, and within that, it's so powerful that there's so much affiliate programs out there. It could be in baby products. It could be in baby swimwear. It could be in dog wear. It could be in anything. Pool activities. It could be. It's so much things out there. If you guys do the research, trust me, you'll be amazed at how much niches there are for you to go in and make money that way as well. So that's the two that I have on the go right now, and I have a lot more coming in the future. But for right now, I have to work on those ones right now. So
okay, so like how do you like obtain all this knowledge on these different things? So you just went online and just started searching up things that you was interested in, or
Yeah, bro. The first step was literally just searching in how can I get passive income online. Like that's literally my first searches, and then after clicking and reading some documents, reading through some articles and stuff like that, you slowly come across some things that are like, wow, this is really a thing. And see, the thing is, you have to be skeptic to a certain degree. Like, if something sounds too good to be true, then you could check it out still and see if it actually works, and then you know for next time. But like with all things, like you can't take someone else's face value. Like say for example, they could say that it didn't work for them. That doesn't mean that it's not going to work for you. You know what I mean? They may not have the same work ethic as you. They may put in just 10 hours a week on it. You decided to put in 30 to 40 hours a week on it. Because they put in 10, the success rate of hours may have been 20. They never was going to be successful. You know what I mean? Because they half in the amount of work that's needed to have a successful website or a successful business. You know what I mean? So I feel like you always have to go after things that you feel could work. You say it, see if it's actually something that's viable, or something that you actually want to do, and then you go after it. Because you still have to be passionate about what you're doing. Like I said, like I never used to believe it when I used to hear it. Like I used to be like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I like business, or I like this and that. Like I like something, but you don't actually have to do it. That's why, like we were talking about earlier, when the 9 to 5, like they're not passionate about what they're doing every day. They become robots. Yeah. And they're just clicking buttons, right? So I feel like when you're passionate about something and you choose a niche that you're passionate about, the work comes easy. It doesn't even feel like work, to be honest, in my opinion. As of right now, it doesn't feel like work at all. I felt like I've done nothing, really. And I'm still humble in that regard. Like, it's so much that's in my mind for me to do, like, I've done nothing yet. So
Yeah, I think the major part, and I was telling someone about this today, the major part of venturing on your own and quitting your job to be full-time you is, and it ain't even because most of the times when people think about entrepreneurship, they think you're going to be rich right away.
yeah,
Or so. But I think the initial steps towards it is, peace of mind.
yeah,
Like knowing the feeling that, okay, yeah, it might be overwhelming now. You have to go out and hunt for yourself. Hunt, like get that income to flow in. I have to, extend myself and find income to pay my bills or to cover different costs and things like that. Which to me, that's exhilarating. Because like I love the hustle
yeah,
or whatever. I love going out and meeting people and striking business deals or, making some collaboration or whatever. I live for it. Like if I
Yeah.
could have if the only thing I would have to do in life is to just make business deals, I'll do that all day.
Yeah,
Even
see?
though I'm a filmmaker and I like to be creative, but just to
Yeah.
do the bit, like that's exhilarating. Like
Yeah.
when I could network with someone and be like, okay, I got this exactly. I want to partner you with this. And it happens. Like, that's fun to me.
Yeah,
almost
that's
like
a good
chess.
point, bro. Because I didn't bring that up because the thing is like I'm the same way. Like I love the process. See, the thing is, a lot of people, they, like you said, they think about the end goal. They think about right now. They're not making money right now. They're not making it right now, right? So like you have to get yourself past that mindset of right now and think about the future.
Yeah.
And you also have to like you said, fall in love with the process. You can't look at the dollars at the end of the transaction. When you start looking at the dollar bills at the end of the transaction, you're clouded and like you're not coming from a 100% genuine place, really, I feel. And over time, that's going to catch up to you because I feel like I'm a guy now. Like I've been the guy, but I'm like trying to show it more outwardly and be outwardly focused with it. But like it's all about positivity. And it's all about uplifting individuals. It's all about uplifting families. It's all about uplifting people that are around you. Because like,
Of course.
I saw a quote. It was like a candle. It's not affected if it just burns. If it lights another candle, right? Like
Yeah.
you're not affecting yourself if you light another candle. It's just both of you burning now. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
there's more light in the room. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But a lot of people don't look at it like that.
Yeah.
They want to look at their brother and like try to tear them down or try to show them in a negative light. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
My perspective is always about trying to uplift the people that are around me. If I chose you to be around me, like it's very, very few. Like my circle is very small, and you got to believe that the positive vibes that you have around you, it really affects your state of mind and like what you get off of people. You know what I mean? Because like energy is a real thing.
Yeah,
So.
energy is transferable. I think
Yeah.
when you get into a space where you already want to be positive and you do things and you bring people around you to not just edify your cause or for you to become edified, but to bring edification towards them and that you have this dream and this goal, but you want to see the success just as much for them as you want for yourself.
Yeah.
So, often, you especially as you grow older, you tend to tighten who you allow in your space and in your circle because you trying to remain focused. So you ain't trying to be around people who ain't like-minded like you or whatever because they gonna always hold you back and you ain't gonna soar. But you need people like eagles fly with eagles and ducks run with ducks.
You're a dog.
Like you are who you around. Like the 5 people you hang around with, you are a combination of all those 5 people.
Yeah.
To be honest, so this is always like guarding that territory and just going from there. But what I was gonna say, I almost lost her. But that's great. How you broke down, you're saying energy a lot and having the right energy.
Yeah.
And the exhilaration you feel from hustling. Like,
Yeah, it's the power of the tongue, bro. Like people say, it's a thing back in the day. Like the power of the tongue is very strong. Like what you speak upon, what's gonna happen, what your mindset of what you think is gonna happen, like your belief in what you think is gonna happen, will happen. Like if it's for you, it's gonna be for you. You know what I mean? So like, you can't be discouraged. You can't be like, oh, why isn't it happening for me yet? We'll be talking about like it's still a marathon. You're running your own race. You don't know when it's gonna happen. You just sticking your head down and you beating the pavement. You know what I mean? So like, you still gotta be in that mindset. And what you was also saying too, like, I agree, you gotta be positive. But the thing is, it's a fine line between being positive, optimistic, and being practical. Like, you can't be delusional in your same thinking. Like, delusion is very close to being like, you know, on the edge. Like. And see, me personally, like every day, like I try to audit myself and like what I'm gonna do today. Like, what is my goals today? What I'm gonna do today? Because like, so yesterday doesn't matter anymore. Like, you're only good at your last at bat, right? So like, if you do, let's say you do nothing today, sometimes you may be like, okay, I'm gonna take a break, but like in some instances, you just gotta push through and make that extra effort to go, like, you know, accomplish your goals for the day. You know what I mean? So. You got to be practical, like you're saying, and you can't be delusional, though. Yeah.
Of course. So, what? Couple more questions. So, because people probably been listening to this a while, and they're saying, okay, you drive Uber and you do this. What separates you? Okay, you would consider yourself an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
So, what is an entrepreneur, and how does being an entrepreneur differ from being self-employed? Because I feel like people somewhat confuse the two.
Yeah.
Not because let's say you're a plumber and you have your own plumbing truck or whatever, that means you're an entrepreneur. Or because you have a certain skill, like let's say you cut hair or you clean lawns or whatever, you are entrepreneur. Because like, you know, it's a fine line between self-employed and entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? And tell me what you think of entrepreneurs.
I feel like you're saying, yeah, it's very it's from your perspective, right? But my perspective is like, I feel like a self-employed individual or a sole proprietor is like, basically, if I only did Uber Eats, or if I only had a part-time, if I only had those things that are supplementing my cost of living, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is what I call a self-employed or sole proprietor, right? And they have no hopes in making their money work for them, right?
Okay.
But I feel like an entrepreneur is the person or the individual who initially may have those things in place, but at the end of the day, their ultimate goal, their bigger goal is like to have their money work for them. They want to make, like, I call it horizontal money, whereas you're making money when you're laying down. That's what I'm talking about. That's what
passive
feels
income.
That's what it is. It's the passive income. Is you taking like full ownership of what you're doing, and you're ready to take the risk of what's gonna happen. So like, for example, one of those instances is like a stock market, like a stock trader. Like, if you're trading stocks and stuff like that, and I was telling you, like, basically a hedge fund is like basically you putting together, us guys pulling together and having a list of positions in our portfolio and stuff like that, right? You actually incorporated yourself, and you're actually an entity. So you're taking risk because obviously you guys risking your money and your financial backing and stuff like that. That's actually taking on the risk of that, right? So like, you're going to use that money now and probably do other things with that you don't have to go up and go make money. Like, you don't have to go up and go do things to go make money. That's that's my difference. It's all about taking that risk and taking that ownership of what you do. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
So why you think that people don't understand the whole concept of making your money work for you?
That's a good question. I don't know. It's like, I think it goes back to the whole instance of like, a lot of people just don't want to be held accountable of what's of how their life turned out, I feel. Like, a lot of people like to find excuses of what's going on in their life. A lot of people rather point the finger at someone else and blame someone else rather than taking ownership of what's going on in their life, right? So instead of someone trying to invest in something that may not work, I'm going to use the stock market as an example, right?
All right.
We all know stocks, there is a volatility to them. They go up and down, right? Rather than someone taking some money out and trying to invest in that, like, not respectfully, sorry. From a perspective of, like, they're not using all of their savings. They're just doing it. They have some free money and they're going to try and invest it, right? That's what you call making it work for you. But a lot of people, they rather, like you said, oh, no, I'm going to buy the hottest shoes, or I'm going to buy the latest technology, or I'm going to buy something else, because they're backing, looking at themselves. They're trying to get validation from other people. All that goes, it intertwines with all of that. Like, they look at it and they just don't want to take accountability for what they're doing. So, like, they would rather just take the sure thing, or use things that work, or do things that work. You know what I mean? So...
Yeah, because I often try to explain the value in understanding how money works and making your money work and playing the long game.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so for instance, like here in the Bahamas, while there are a couple of investment instruments that you can become a part of. You can invest in the government bonds. You could invest in the mutual funds. When certain companies open up their IPO, you can invest into that. So, and that's all other opportunities. Also, you can open up a business and you could buy real estate. Yeah. Which is like we have a heavy real estate region. So, what people don't understand is playing the long game. Like, when you invest, it ain't about just putting money somewhere and then acting like forgetting about it. No. Yeah. You put it there, like, okay, like, for instance, I have made a initial investment into a mutual fund. With the sum, I ain't going to disclose the amount, but, you know, it's a nice chunk of change. So, you know, to me, people be like, well, you're not going to get an expedient return on that investment. But I'm like, that's not my goal. Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, I got to start today. So, okay, when I look up 5-10 years later, that initial investment, of course, I'm going to add some more of those investments and talk to the fund manager about, you know, other options I can take. But I'm not looking for the initial return right now because I invested a sum of money that I don't need to touch or whatever. Like, that can stay there, and I want to see the you know, the ROI audit probably 3 to 5 to 10 years down the line, because then we don't know how the economy may go, and we don't know what other opportunities might happen along that line. Because I might get my return on investment and want to reinvest it into something else, or an IPO might open up, and then I want to invest in that, or I got set amount of different business ventures or whatever. I might want to reinvest into those things, or I want to buy real estate, or start investing into some commercial properties. Yeah. While I'm here, so you always invest so you can invest some more. Yeah. So that's making your money work. Because so let's take for instance, let's say you make, I guess, let's say $500 a week or whatever. So let's say you make $2,000 a month. What I try to do with that is, I mean, this might sound crazy for some people, but I try to at least save, let's say $300 to $500 out of that $2,000. I try to put aside and don't touch, or whatever. So I try to live off $1,500 as much as possible, and then within that $1,500, I still try to save a little bit change from that, so I could go buy like new equipment, or I could go like start saving up to, let's say I wanted to go take a business trip, or whatever. So like all these things are slowly making your money work for you, because your money, you should spend your money in a way that what you spend it on will help you get more money, or, that money will return back with what you spent.
Yeah.
So, that's the way. And then, also you want to have multiple passive sources of income. Or did I say that right? Multiple sources of passive income.
Yeah.
So elaborate on that. Why is it important to have multiple sources of passive income, and just multiple sources of income as a whole? Because people might say, well, you sound like you're doing plenty with all these. You're doing Uber Eats. You're doing this thing for this restaurant company. You got Uncommon Grounds and this third-party website thing. Yeah. And then I think, what's the other thing?
I would say I probably have like 6 things.
Yeah, you are like you do the thing with base. So it's like, okay, like why you got so much things going on, and what's the importance of all of that?
So to backtrack on what you were saying as well, I feel like when you set goals as well, let's use the same example. You say he was making $2,000 a month, right? So normally, we just was talking about this as well. It's like, I feel like you have to set percentages on what you're going to do with your money a month. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You know what I mean? So like, for example, like you saying in that example, see, when you're living over here, you slightly don't even have to pay rent, right? So you have a lot more money to work with. See, in Canada, obviously you're paying rent, so that's a big chunk. Yeah. And they always say, I say that it should be at least 30% of what you make in a month. That's what your rent should be. Yeah. If it's over that, then you may need to move. But in that situation, and then in those situations, you also have to set yourself up to be saving, like you're saying. So like, I normally try to save at least 20% of what I make a month, right? Just to have it for a rainy day or investments or any other things that you're doing. And then you use the rest of your money that you have to try and save back into what you're doing, or like live modestly. But sometimes you take advantage of that, or et cetera. Like you may just splurge one month. You never know, but you shouldn't. You shouldn't. But hey, we all human. We in our 20s. We trying to live life, but it is what it is. But I say that you need different sources of income because of the fact that the
By the way, all these numbers we're putting out there are just hypothetical.
Yeah, they're hypothetical. But yeah, I say that you have to have multiple sources because like it's all about risk aversion. Like it's all about diversifying it. It's basically 2 things that are called systematic risk and unsystematic risk. So systematic risk is basically risks that are inherently in the market. So like, let's say, for example, you want to grow crops. Okay. Obviously, inherently bugs are going to come and try to eat your crops. That's a systematic risk. Yeah. So you already know they're coming. The things you want to plan for are unsystematic risks. That are things that you don't plan. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like as you diversify the amount of income you have, the other ones are independent of each other. Okay. So for example, if I do work with Uber Eats, that is independent of me doing work as a customer service rep. You know what I mean? So they don't affect each other. So that means my risk is low, right? So if I had the same thing that are in the same industry, for example, my risk would be high because, like, obviously they're being affected by the same things. I'll use the example of the same fruit crops. Okay. If I was a farmer and there was a drought, or not even a drought, let's say there was a disease on citrus plants. If I had, in this example, I'd say if I was planting a lime tree and a lemon tree, right? Both of them are citrus plants. There's a citrus disease. Both of them would be affected, right? Yeah. Now, let's say I have the same farm. I have a lemon tree and I have an apple tree, right? Instead of both of the plants being affected from the citrus disease, only one of them are affected from the citrus disease because I have a lemon tree, which is a citrus tree, and apple. I'm not even sure what type of tree is apple.
I mean,
we have to Google that.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
But it's not citrus. That's the goal. Yeah, it's not citrus. So from you diversifying and not simple tense is like you're basically giving yourself a better shot at being a success. So instead of having a 0 chance at having crops this year, you still have a 50% chance at having crops this year. You know what I mean? So when you diversify, you making it easier on yourself to be a better success. You know what I mean? So you always have to find things that are not independent always of each other initially, I feel. And then when you're very confident in what you're doing, hey, sometimes you could have the same type of income coming in from the same sources, you know what I mean? But that's when you're actually skilled and you know what you're doing and you can predict. If you're a predictor of consumer behavior and you're a predictor of things that are going to happen, you can adjust accordingly because that's when you're that good. You know what I mean? At this moment, I'm not that good, so like I got to diversify and try, decrease my risk, so.
Yeah, because it's very important to even investing is important to diversify your portfolio.
Yeah.
Even like when you play in stocks, you don't want to buy the same stock or pour everything in one stock.
Exactly.
Or whatever. If you're going to buy a little bit of Google, buy a little bit of Netflix or Disney. Have as much options for you to make revenue as possible. Because you never know, somebody the stock might be up one day, down the next day, Okay, you doing things on the stock market. You might have real estate over here, and you might be like, okay, I can have these commercial units. It might go be a time, because there was a time in 2008 when the stock market crashed and there was a housing crisis in the U.S. and a lot of people foreclosed on their homes because they got, approved for loans that they shouldn't be approved for. But, okay, so you might have, that might happen. The stock market might crash and the real estate thing might go. Now you have over here, you invest in some mutual funds, so you have certain securities that's locked up that you could tap into. Okay, you have this over here, then you have this over here. You always want to cover all your bases and have as much options.
It's a part of that too. Like covering all your bases is a part of that as well. Yeah. Like it's more as well as far as your arms could reach, that's how you have to be. Because like I said, like you're not easily affected if one were to dip. You know what I mean? If one were to go off or one was not as profitable as it used to be, you don't feel it as much because that's just one branch of the tree that's maybe slightly dead or close to dead or whatever you want to call it. But like I said, it's better for that one branch than 3 branches in that same industry to be dead. You know what I mean? So that's all that is about, really. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, bro.
So, let's see. So, what are your 5 to 10 year goals from this moment?
Right,
what are you trying to do with? Well, okay. I mean, besides Uncommon Ground, do you think you're going to keep up this pace with, doing overeats and doing the other, art and stuff?
Yeah, so my goal with that is, you gotta have, for right now, because I'm 25, soon to be 26, but for right now, it's you gotta be willing to put in those extra hours right now in order to reap long term. So I feel like you gotta have something that you gotta go get your money for, but you also have to be working on things that lead to automation. So my ultimate goal is to have all of my streams of revenue automated. Whereas it's the fact of me doing the upfront work. Whereas if it's web design or if it's other things that you're doing upfront work, and at the stage when it becomes profitable, it's only you managing it from an online platform or a laptop, etc. Because you literally, in those situations, you literally could be anywhere in the world, log on to your laptop, and you're managing your business.
Yeah.
So that's my ultimate goals, to be honest with you. But as for right now, I have to still go out and beat the pavement and make my dollars that way. But my ultimate goal is to have all of my sources of revenue automated. And I want to have up to 10. Okay. I want to go past 10, obviously, in the future. Okay. But my goal for right now is to have 10 automated. Once I have 10 automated, then I'm in a good space right at that point. And then I'm still going to still love the process and still look for other things to do. You know what I mean? Because at any moment, you can't be an individual who doesn't want to stop seeking knowledge. You have to always look for knowledge. You have to always be looking to better yourself. You all have to always, every day, you have to try and better yourself. Because, the second you stop learning is the second, you're going to get lost or left in the dust. You know what I mean? So that's how I look at that. But, yeah.
that is so important to diversify your income. And I think, because you said you wanted to do have 10 sources, because like people be looking at me crazy, like, wait, why you got? Okay, by now I'm up to 3 brands.
Yeah.
With one coming, potentially another one. Like it's gonna be something different for media. Like it's gonna be, and I'm not gonna be like the CEO of that. I'm probably just gonna be a partner, which I'm a whole off on. We still experimenting with the whole product and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this, I always in my mind, I'm like, I want to have at least, well, besides just having like investing in stocks, because I'm researching more into that too. And I really definitely want to start purchasing real estate, but I'm just waiting on available capital.
Yeah.
So, I look into probably purchase my first property after probably in the next 2-3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Probably by 30, But I just want to get this heavy lifting with the businesses out the way.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm going so hard now. So, like, 3 years from now, let's say, 3 years from now, like, everything should be stabilized and we should be rocking. But besides, wanting to invest more into, like, probably IPOs and stocks and real estate or whatever, I was like, I want at least, besides the 3 brands I got right now, I want at least 3 to 5 more. And I got hella ideas. Mm-hmm. That's why I like making different like businesses and stuff like that, because I'm like, okay, cool. Especially me understanding the social media space too, and understanding how to market on social media. It's like, okay, I know how to do this. We can do that. We can do that. But it's just like, being patient and taking things one step at a time and not, trying to go too hard. So, I really understand that whole method of having more, because if you really think about it, the elites have multiple.
The elites always say 10, bro. I listen to multiple people, Mark Cuban, all those guys. They always say 10 at least, and that's like substantial 10. Like, you know what I mean? Like all them contributing to the ultimate net worth. You know what I mean? So like, and they just being modest. I'm pretty sure they have more than 10, but they just being modest with 10, and that's still a hard feat. Yeah, because you know what it is. They probably have to go out and make a lot of them, but like they probably have 10 automated sources of income. Yeah, because like when they get casted for like things or speaking, or they actually have to go, but that's like just additional money. You know what I mean?
Because I think along the way, what I realized is people always try to paint this narrative of you having to be a big boss, but then like, not everything you have to run. You could be a partner in some things, or you could be a minority owner. Yeah, no, or whatever. No. That's still that 10% still coming to you without having. Yeah, bro.
No man's an island. Like a lot of these things that I have like on the go and stuff like that. It's like with people. You can't do it by yourself all the time. You know what I mean? Like you could only get so far by yourself, and you have to incorporate other people because, like, granted, a lot of times they may not have the same drive as you, but like at the end of the day, you have to learn how to work with people and learn how to communicate, right? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, people make businesses work.
Yeah, of course. How I feel, so. Of course, because I feel like it's levels. Like when you start out as an entrepreneur, you are the salesman, you are the manager, and you're the visionary. Yeah. Along the way, your role should become less to where you're the visionary. Okay. Exactly. You work, first, so like you grow to a certain point, and then now you have other people working, and you're the manager, and then along the way you hire a manager, and now you're just the visionary putting systems into play, and you're watching things flourish. But it starts. You have to just jump, take that leap of faith and start, and that's the most like essential part. Of everything. Anything else you would like to add before we get out of there?
No, I mean, I think I touched everything. I guess the only thing is like stay encouraged, like we said, be positive, be optimistic, be practical. But like you just was saying, patience is key. Like you're saying, it's a marathon. Yeah. Everyone race is not yours. Like you don't know when it's gonna come for you, but you just have to stay grounded, stay grinding. And, over time it will come through, especially if it's something that you're passionate about and you have a good heart. You're trying to do it for the right reasons and stuff like that, like I'm pretty sure you're gonna be good. You just have to follow your heart and stay grinding.
All right, tell the audience where they can find you at on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Also, your other ventures where they can find those at. Drop the handles.
So, on Facebook is just Khadeem King. On IG and Twitter is KR Kingship. My other ventures that you could find me on is the Uncommon Grounds, which is the Shopify store that I was talking about. You could just Google the uncommongrounds.com.
Don't you have an Instagram page?
Yeah. You mean the Uncommon Grounds on Instagram too? So it's just the Uncommon Grounds, lowercase.
Okay.
For Uncommon Grounds. The other one, the affiliate marketing, I can't give you the name of that yet, but it's coming soon. Okay,
we're going to drop that later on.
Yeah, we'll drop that later on for sure. But that's coming soon. The logo and stuff is done. We're just working on some other things, some kinks and stuff like that. But yeah, it's coming soon. But that's basically it. Uncommon Grounds on Twitter as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can hit us up on Twitter too for that.
That's dope. You know what it is? It's your boy, Viva La J with the Sage, Mr. Cool Fresh. Just your favorite Zaddy, Lord Jaylin Willard. And this is another episode of Erryting Kool. We just hope that you take the wise words of today that we spoke about. Don't be afraid. Just go there and jump. Jump in, wholesale. Don't just put in your big toe to try to test the temperature.
No.
But I would advise you learn how to swim first and then jump in wholesale and swim, ride these waves and swim in this big blue ocean of opportunity. And, be a master of your own destiny. Like, don't be unhappy and complaining about woe is me. Take hold of your reality.
For real.
And make something out of it. This is another episode of Erryting Kool. And, once you stay positive, have a plan, follow the plan, pursue happiness and greatness. Everything gonna be cool. And that's it. Yeah, see.